Good morning and welcome to June 3rd regular session of Commissioners Court. We have a full quorum present. Carrie, you certify the meeting was properly posted.
Yes, sir.
So please rise for prayer and pledges. James Ray.
Father, we humbly bow before you this morning, asking for your wisdom to be made known to the commissioners and to the judge. Father, we thank you for their service to Walker County. Father, may you give them the wisdom and the knowledge to deal with each individual in the county. Father, we ask, Lord, that you go with us and watch over us as we conduct this meeting. Father, we most of all thank you this morning for your word. And the verse that I want to share this morning is found in Ephesians chapter 1, verse 7. With whom we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins, according to the riches of his grace. Father, we thank you for the grace that we have at our disposal through death and burial of Jesus Christ. Father, through his blood, we can all be redeemed. Father, may somebody here maybe doesn't know that, but may they realize that they have forgiveness. Father, go with us, lead us, and guide us through this court. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag,
I
pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
I didn't receive any citizens input. We got 9 items on consent agenda.
Oh, yeah, I need to pull 5.
Anybody else?
Nope.
I'm going to pulling item 5. Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Number 5, approved claims and invoice.
This is kind of a bill question. I didn't realize that precinct 3 office, JP office is flooded. What's causing that, Bill?
I don't know what happened there.
Maybe it's a Larry question then.
Yes, sir. They had a window unit on the northeast side of the building. Penetration where the window unit was. It's just letting all that heavy wind rain in there. Lonnie had caught it and he's taking care of the repairs and everything. We just sent that equipment out there to help the room dry.
Okay, I mean, have we got it fixed where it won't happen again? Or?
So it's fixed where we don't have it again. We put a different type of air unit in there for them, and the outside's just closed off, sealed off, and
Yeah.
Lonnie wants to be the one to refinish the wall inside, so. we're just
Okay.
working on that.
Yeah, you said JP, that messed me up. I know we had a leak back in our barn back there.
That's what it says here.
It's a JP.
Fix that. I got this. It's not JP. We need to fix that. What page are you on there, Ronnie?
Yeah, on page 7 of 30. See, I'm trying to help you, Bill. I'm
I didn't
keeping up.
catch that.
You see it?
Down to the bottom.
Down to the
right after
bottom,
steam
third.
ring.
Oh, the steam rig.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I wondered how it was flooding on that building, since it said JP.
Yeah, it's my shop in the back was what it was.
All right, well, I'll let you make that motion then since it's your shop.
All right. Make a motion to approve agenda item number 5, but let me ask about that PO real quick. Who was that PO charged to then, Larry? Was that just
He
you?
was charged to, Ms. Patricia set up a separate fund.
Okay.
For recovery, it was charged to that code.
Okay. All right. Will you get with her and have her change that notation from JP3 to RB3 just in case we file on it or something?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. EMS number 10, discuss and take action on the reappointment of Chief Parker to the C-Track Board of Directors. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Number 11, discuss and take action on paying for OEM staff overtime related to flood disaster beginning April 26, 2024, and continuing according to personnel policy 4.03, 22 and 24.
I'll make that. Agenda item number 11, they put in a ton of hours and, there's no way we can give up the comp time and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, it's reimbursable anyhow, should
Yeah.
be, so, yes, second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Can we clarify, is it all staff?
It's the OEM staff.
It's just me and Butch and.
There's only two of us.
Okay, so you have Gary.
Treasurer, number 12, discuss and take action on renewal of Texas Association of Counties Health and Employee Benefit Program Plan for 2025.
Health insurance. Full average was 4.6%, so we were below average this time. Our renewal rate is going up 2%. So that's $18 per month per employee, to $214 a year. If you have one child, it's gonna go up $4 a month. It's like $50 a year. Family coverage is $20 a month, so $239 a year for that. So I didn't think the increase was enough to look at any of the other changes, so my recommendation is stick with the plan that we have and renew 10-1 at that.
Amy, you said it was, how much last year? So we done pretty good.
Last year was 7.1%.
Yeah, we done good this year.
I'll make a motion, we renew, tax on the health employee benefit program.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 13, discuss and take action on the award of courthouse drainage issue. Cheryl?
We have discussed, and received bids from courthouse and installing, concrete along the flower beds up there. And, we're asking, also, we got a bid for the railing. There's a safety railing that needed to go in. We didn't get a bid that included all of it. The one that we did get was excessively high. So we're asking to do a split award, one for the concrete to Barron's Construction, for $28,500. And the railing would go to Woods Welding in the amount of $3,990. Barron Construction did bid on the railing, but they were $5,400 to install the railing along with the concrete.
What'd you say the other one was, Ms. Cheryl? 3,000?
$39.90.
39.
It's the same process for both as far as the railing. They're not gonna, is it gonna be like after installed after, or is it repairs? I'm not really sure what we're doing on the railing.
Larry May can discuss that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
What are we doing on the railing? Is it the same? The guy who's doing the concrete, would he install it differently than Woods, or what's the story on
No,
that?
sir, his price was much higher
Okay.
for the rail.
All right. So the rail is completely separate from the concrete that he's pouring. It's not a part of what he's.
Yes, we're looking at two separate.
Okay, well, I know we're doing two different vendors. Are we doing two different jobs? Are they not related to each other?
They are related in that they're in the same area.
It's hard for a concrete guy to do a welding guy's job and charge the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we're putting railing where the concrete's going, is he doing a different method than Woods would do? Or is Woods working where we're not doing concrete? Is what I'm saying.
No, so it would have been the same type of thing, had the rail installed and then the slab poured around it.
Okay.
Two deals. They're gonna do the concrete, then Wood's gonna come back and do the railing, correct?
Oh, the
We're
rail would go
going
first.
first and then pour the concrete.
Rail will be set into the concrete.
Uh-huh. We're gonna install the railing first.
Which is the proper way, in my opinion, to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
put the railing in, pour concrete around it. So.
Yeah, I guess that's my pause then, is
We
having,
had asked them to provide the same material, the same bid.
yeah,
And when the bids came in, they offered what we had asked for. One was just much higher than the other.
all right.
There's no backup, so that's why you can't see it.
Yeah, I got nothing on that, so. All right,
How much higher since?
like $1,500. So to have,
5,400 versus 39. Or you could say 4,000, so it's around 14.
it's just weird to have on on a project like that, to have one contractor come in and do that, and then have another contractor come in behind him. Then if you have troubles with the first part, now you got two different guys pointing fingers at each other. So for $1,500, I'd have one guy turnkey the whole dang thing, and then you just got one guy to go back to if anything goes in the ditch.
So
I don't totally disagree with you on
I,
that.
on the railing, Larry, they're not putting in well pads to weld the handrail to? We're installing it in the concrete?
On the railing,
Yeah.
I asked them to bid concreting the posts in first and
Okay.
then had planned to have the slab poured around it.
Yeah, I'm kind of blind on what's going on too. So I'm having trouble visualizing what you're trying to do, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
For
Above the-
going back and go ahead.
Above the main entrance up here,
Yeah.
so it's been shrubbery and things up there for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
We removed the bulk of the shrubbery. There's 2 crepe myrtles that we need to cut out. The roots are just too deep to pull like they are. But that leaves the entire area above that opening open. And if we pour a slab up there, then it's very possible that people, either citizens or employees, might take a walk around there.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted the safety rail up above. The safety rail will only run at the danger zone, basically from end to end of the entrance.
Okay.
Have you got these where we can see them, Miss Cheryl?
I do at the office, yes.
Cause I mean, I'm kind of blind too, and I'd like to see what we're bidding on. You wanna get somebody to bring it, and we'll just kind of go do it in a little bit? You got somebody you can bring copies of it to us,
Today.
like now?
Are you?
Erica, are you out there listening?
She is not.
Judge, you had said, Mike, you're kind of watching this pretty close.
Yeah.
Outside your window. What's your thoughts?
I'm good with however y'all want to do it.
Yeah.
So,
See, I'm kind of back even where Danny's at. The idea of pouring steel inside of concrete
Yeah.
is odd, because if it rots,
Yeah.
and it's going to, then you have to, then it's trouble. So do you sleeve it, or do you pour the slab and then
Yeah, that's
anchor your
right.
concrete on top of it and stuff like that?
Really depends on if you put 1/4 inch wall, it outlast everybody in this room.
That's true.
Well, but even, I mean, something happens, it gets bent or whatever, and just replacing it down the road. I would have thought it needed to be sleeved or well padded or something,
She's bringing them.
Can bring them, we can,
but I don't know what I'm looking at, so. you know.
we're gonna come back to 13. Number 14, discuss and take action on the transfer of 2018 Chevrolet Tahoe from Sheriff's Office to Constable Precinct. Add number 12628.
We have to bring all transfers, according to Government Code 262.011 little j. And it says that all transfers will be approved by Commissioners Court. So this has been done. And you'll notice that the next one goes along with it. Constable 4 was switching a vehicle to the sheriff's office. And we're
Yes.
just asking for you guys.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
Got a motion? Motion is second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. 15, discuss and take action on transfer of 2023 Chevrolet Tahoe from Constable Precinct 4 to the Sheriff's Office, 13717.
Move for approval.
second that.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 16, discuss and take action on transfer of 2012 Chevrolet Silverado from Emergency Management to Road and Bridge.
I'll make that motion.
424.
I'll second that.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 17, discuss and take action on transfer of computers from CSCD to IT department.
Move to approve the list.
I'll second that.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 18, discuss and take action on transfer of 2023 Chevrolet Tahoe from sheriff's office to the jail, badge number 13717.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Carries. 19, discuss and take action on the proposed exceptions to the solicitation C 2360-24-0009 gasoline and ultra low diesel fuel from Suncoast Resources.
So we bid the fuel out, this was the last renewal and, we're having to rebid the fuel and Suncoast, yes, it is an IFB. And, we do normally on an IFB do not accept any exceptions. However, it was in the solicitation for them to offer. So because it was written in the solicitation, we are allowing the exceptions. With that being said, Suncoast has provided a list of exceptions. I have ran them by our legal counsel, and he has provided, I wonder where those went to. He has provided guidance on them and had said that some are legal and some you guys will need to make a determination on. So if you want to go down each one of them, I'm more than welcome to. If you'll, the last agenda item that I have is also discuss and take action to award solicitation, the gasoline. Maybe a moot point if you look at the bid tab.
These are. Thank you. Costs for rack plus transport, fee, correct?
Wow.
So the lowest bidder is offering what we pay now.
33.
That's what we pay now.
Do they have the minimum?
Did not say a minimum.
Where are they out of?
They
Cheryl?
are out of Beaumont. They are a historically underutilized business. They're female operated and owned. They have been in business for over 20+ years.
What's their turnaround time? I mean, if we need fuel,
2 days.
2 days.
Will they set
We
us up?
required 4. They offered 2.
Will they set us up on a rotation where they come once a month, once
If
every
we
2
ask them
weeks?
to,
They will during the summer when we're busy, they just come by and top them off.
if that's what we want.
You know,
Yeah,
pass
they
it
were
19.
very pleased.
So need to go ahead and award a secondary vendor on this too.
But that's up to y'all. That's your call.
No, we're still on 19. So we need to do something with 19. If y'all want to pass on that, want to look through it, we got to do 19 first.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Well, what have we
Oh.
gotten in the past on the branded versus the unbranded? What have we done before?
It's really funny about that, branded and unbranded.
Yes,
We
I'd
got,
like to know about it.
okay. So branded, means, they sell gas to Exxon, Shell, Chevron. They put their additives in it and sell it at their store. That's branded. Unbranded is at the refinery. They load it in a tank and sell it to us. That's the difference. between branded and unbranded,
Other
other than the price. But there again, because they'll take it from their refinery and if they're gonna sell it to Exxon, they're gonna put Exxon's additives in it and take it all to Exxon stations.
So you can get Exxon gas if you want.
You can get Exxon gas if that's what you want,
What have we been buying?
unbranded.
Yeah, I mean, I see the
That's why we get the
better
better
deal.
rate.
Yeah, okay, let's just go the best rate then.
Okay.
You want to pass on 19?
We need to do anything with 19 or not, Michelle?
We're not gonna select them for a vendor, we don't.
Right.
Select them, you can pass on it.
Okay.
Everybody in agreement with pass? All right, pass on 19. Number 20. Discuss and take action to award solicitation C 2360-24-009 gasoline and ultra low diesel fuel.
Move to approve of vendor AOP Petroleum Company LLC.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Is that right, Cheryl?
Like, you probably-
Close enough.
Close enough.
That's what we've been saying.
And we'll come back. Oh, there's Erica. Good timing, Erica.
Perfect
We're
time.
gonna go back to 13, discuss and take action on the award of courthouse drainage issues.
Thanks, huh? I'm just going.
Anyone have anything?
Did we provide them the specs or did Larry?
I go on to match the railing above. As far as pattern and size.
All right,
So Larry,
It's to ADA standard.
okay.
but Woods quotes 30 feet, installed 30 feet of handrail. Barron quotes 60.
Well, I don't know about that. I didn't make the call to get this, this one.
How is the other attached, Larry?
Sorry,
The other hand railing that you're talking about matching? How is it attached?
it's bolted down.
Bolted down?
That one up there is not truly not something I would call a safety rail. It's aluminum tube.
I got you.
It's more cosmetic than anything.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest reason for not wanting something that bolted down. I wanted something that was sturdy. Because I can picture, parade times, barrel and square times, things like that. I can picture, young people
Carries it shorter too.
making their way up there.
Yeah.
42 instead of 48.
Come loose,
Mhm.
cause us liability.
Well, the difference in price is gonna be the 30-foot versus
Yeah.
60-foot, so we need to
Go all the
clarify
variants
that before we
construction.
actually do this.
Yeah, just give it all to Barron and let Barron do it.
Yes,
Got a motion on that?
that's your motion.
Yeah, my motion is gonna be award the concrete and the railing to Barron's Construction.
Barone, actually.
Barone, is that what it is?
Yes, sir. He lives in your precinct.
He does. Yes, he does. Does a lot of work right next door to me. BARRON''S Construction.
He lives on Barone Street, actually.
Oh, yeah.
But I would, so is it 30 feet or is it 60 feet?
30 feet is what I asked.
They can adjust his price. down.
Yeah, so his price will be, you can call him and tell him to adjust his price. His 4 foot, I'm assuming is because it went, down into the concrete, the other guy.
42.
Was 42. So, yeah, I would visit with him about that. And, I think we can put a not to exceed 5,400, but Larry can visit with him to push that price down.
Yes,
That's my motion.
your second, yeah.
Now, yep.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you, Cheryl and Larry. All right, 21, discuss and take action on Harts Museum agreement with Walker County. So we went live with a Disaster Recovery Center, is that what it's called? Last week. So that meant that the shelter was unable to be rented anymore. We have FEMA, Tri-County, Red Cross and all that in there. During the process of getting that all set up, we had a mobile command center out back to start registration. During that time, people from Harts Veterans Museum started threatening them, and FEMA shut down for a terroristic threat. So
I know we actually got, an officer to work, cause I actually drove by there on the Monday to make sure what I heard was correct. And I called the chief and asked him to give us a cost of what it costs to have that officer out there. And I do have the cost right here in front of me. Officer Wells was $256.77 with benefits, and Officer Blair was $482.14 to cover that 10-hour period. And I see Tara's back there, but I think your board member is the one that actually discussed that with them, Tara. I don't know for sure.
Can I approach? So I
Yes, come up here for a minute.
Okay, so I'll start at the beginning. We had voting going on in storm shelter. And we had called Office of Emergency Management and inquired about having the storm shelter utilized on the 30th for Charlotte Lennox Memorial Service. We were told no, that FEMA was going to move in on the 29th. And I asked OEM if they could find out if I could do her service the morning of the 29th and FEMA move in that afternoon. I was told they would have to get with the county judge and they would get back to me. So then I emailed the county judge and said, please work with me here. I really need to have Charlotte's memorial service in here. The family's willing to do it whenever. I just need you to work with me. I didn't hear anything back. So I came to the judge's office 1:30 that afternoon and said, please work with me. This is extremely important. She is the reason that this 5 acres was given to the Harts Veterans Museum and then transferred by special warranty deed to the county. I need to be able to have her service here. He stated that he would get with FEMA and he would let me know what their hours would be. So later on that evening, I got an email telling me that FEMA was moving in on the 29th. They would be there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. Nothing was happening in that storm shelter other than that. So I notified my board members at the board meeting that night at 6 o'clock. The following day, we come in and I get a phone call letting me know that the annex building had actually been booked and blocked for FEMA to set up there to take applications during the disaster, not the storm shelter. So I said, okay, that's very interesting. 2 hours later, I get a phone call saying, oh no, OEM just called, canceled the block at the annex and said they decided they're going to do it at the storm shelter. Okay. Meantime, I show back up at the museum and a group of FEMA people come and they come into the museum because they cannot go into the storm shelter because voting is going on. So we opened up the boardroom and the classroom. We told them they were welcome to see people there until they could figure out what was going on where they were supposed to be.
You said boardroom and classroom. Where's that?
Inside of the museum.
Okay.
Okay, we offered to let them set up inside of the museum and see people there if they needed to until they could figure out where they were going to be stationed. Okay, they said they had made phone calls to their supervisors and that they were going to go to lunch and then let us know what was going on when they came back from lunch. After lunch, up pulls a fully self-contained FEMA unit and pops up behind the museum. They even had to move curbside voting because of where the FEMA people set up. So they come out there, they move curbside voting. FEMA pops up this fully self-contained unit, puts their tables out, has their awning out. So we go out there and we're like, oh, this is pretty cool, you know? And I was with my board president when we were out there and we were inquiring, you know, so how is this going to work? You know, because people always are going to come into the museum and ask us where they need to go. It happens during COVID vaccinations, COVID testing, voting, anything that's going on in that storm shelter, people come or call the museum to find out where they need to go. It's just a given. So they were telling us they were gonna be there. They originally said 7 to 7, but then they changed it to 8 to 5, 7 days a week. We said, well, that's great. How many of y'all are gonna be here? We're gonna have 4 people per day from FEMA here to assist. No problem. We said, if there's anything y'all need, you need coffee, you need bottled water, y'all can come on in there. You know, you're welcome. One of the FEMA people was actually a Vietnam veteran. And he came and visited with us quite a bit. He came and looked in the museum. So everything was going fine. Okay? So there were a lot of people very upset that we couldn't have Charlotte service there. I can't control who calls, who emails, who does anything like that. But there was never any threat to my knowledge that I saw or witnessed to any of the FEMA personnel. As a matter of fact, we have befriended the security guards that walk around and do everything else. We even fed them breakfast at the Veterans Breakfast on Saturday when I had to feed over 100 veterans when it's 98% humidity and 90-something degrees outside. When that storm shelter was built, when that ground was transferred from the Harts Veterans Museum back to the county, there were numerous promises made. And I have lots of articles and lots of statements. That facility was built for a FEMA shelter to house evacuees in the event of a natural disaster. Other than that, the museum was supposed to have control over that facility and be able to rent it out and utilize it to make additional money for the museum. Hence the reason it says Harts Veterans Complex on the sign. Hence the reason it says Veterans Conference Center, because that's what the storm shelter was called when it was not in use during evacuee situations. And this power has just been taken away slowly and constantly throughout the years. And we are consistently getting pushed out with every event, every time we turn around. I mean, and I'm not talking small events. I had to cancel an American Legion divisional conference, which brings in hundreds of Legion leaders from over 90 different legions and from the state level. You know, and this was after there was already another facility booked, but that's neither here nor there. If we get pushed out in the event there is a natural disaster and there's evacuee, we completely understand that. We actually go over there and most of us try to make sure we can help in any way we can. But to consistently get pushed back. I told y'all when voting got moved there, the issues that it was going to cause. I mean, you know, Memorial Day, it was 110-degree heat index and we had to have a program outside. I mean, it's just consistently getting worse and worse and worse. And so I would love to have some assistance. And if anybody needs any reference materials as to what and how that land was given back to the county, all the promises that were made to the Harts Veterans Museum, I have it all right here. And I'd be happy to.
I appreciate your concerns. I really do, Tara. I mean, I'm gonna stop you there and let us deal with what we got to deal with.
Yes.
You know, my main concern is anytime that we have, even if you don't think it's a terroristic threat, if FEMA thinks it's a terroristic threat, we've got something wrong happening. We can't have that at all.
Well,
That is absolutely wrong,
well, I agree with that.
you know?
Like I said, to my knowledge, I do not know where that came from. I did not witness it. I have not heard anybody speak of it. I do not know where that came from.
Okay.
Every interaction that I have been a part of with the FEMA personnel has been positive. People have been asking questions. We've been sending veterans over there for assistance with Red Cross and FEMA. So I do not know where that came from, honestly.
Butch,
Yeah, I would
I'm
like
ask you
to,
come on now.
I would like to, you know, I went by and visited several different times, the FEMA bunch, and I talked to the director. And I'm getting very conflicting stories. You want to solve this? We put whoever made the complaint in the same room with the directors of the Harts Veterans Museum and iron it out. I went by there 3 different times, talked to the FEMA bunch. nothing but praise to the Veterans Museum about how they treated them. Same thing twice. I went by there. Once there was a veteran down there talking to the FEMA bunch, sitting outside. This was on Monday morning. I don't know.
By there Monday too.
Yeah, and so, no problems, no problems at all. So if, and of course, now I didn't talk to the person that turned in this complaint, but obviously they're out there. If they're out there, then we need to get them and bring them in and have a little discussion with them, in my opinion. Because this has gotten blown way out of proportion. I don't know if it's attitudes, or what, but there's a surefire way to fix it. That's put them all in the same room.
Butch, can you kind of give us some insight on what took place?
Okay, since nobody seemed to come over and ask me what I planned, I knew that the storm shelter was not available after the voting. But in emergency management, you always plan for a backup. So at that time, I called Diana and asked her if I needed the room, could I book it? She said yes. I knew the storm shelter was going to be available after the voting was over, and I got to agree with her. Voting has caused me a lot of problems in that building. But when you plan for something, you always put a backup. So I had a backup in case the way this weather was going, if we had to put evacuees in the shelter, we had the shelter available for that. And then we'd have the deal up at the annex in case we had to use it. Well, when I seen the shelter, we were not going to put people in the shelter. I said, that's the place to go. Voting was still moving out when FEMA got there to set up on the 29th. They set up, they started their soft opening and run forward with it. The lady came to me and told me that they had been questioned about the mobile being put in the back, which the judge went through the state and got that moved in advance of opening up the full DRC. And so we had that set up. The lady that's in charge of that called me and said, we have shut down because FEMA received a terroristic threat on the mobile command post out there. So they shut it down. And they were shut down for 2.5, 3 hours before they opened it back up. When we told them that they were on county property, and that, if you go back to the start of this deal, since I was involved from the very start, the land was given from the state of Texas to Walker County. Walker County in turn give it to the Harts Veterans Museum. When the agreement to build the storm shelter was come up, the veterans deeded the land back to the county. And we built the storm shelter, and they wouldn't have got their $2 million. It was on contingents that the storm shelter be finished. Lois Coker's was involved with it. Richie Harris was involved with it. Tom O'Lenick was involved with it that I know of. And when that building was finished, then they got their $2 million to build their building. It was built on county property.
I would, I'd like to, our agenda item is to discuss and take action on the Harts Museum agreement with Walker County. I don't think this discussion needs to happen in Commissioner's Court. I think this discussion is completely separate. I would like us to pass on this and do like Mr. Kirkendall said, we need to put some people in the room. If it's you and Danny and Butch and Tara and board guy and even a FEMA guy, have that conversation and then bring something back. But I don't think this is the forum for back and forth like that.
Well, we gotta settle it somewhere. Whether
Well,
it's-
but I don't know what.
I don't totally disagree. We,
Together and discuss instead of sending an email talking.
That's what I'm saying.
See what our plan is, then we work with our plan.
Dan, you wanna be a part of that committee?
I'm fine with it.
All right, well, there's gonna be me, Danny, you two, and board president, and we'll find somebody for FEMA.
I think that's a great idea.
Find the person that made the
The
complaint.
lady that contacted me is not even signed here in Walker County anymore. She's been moved to St. Sec.
Well, she can zoom in.
Well, I will let you know, since I'm on site, I get there 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I don't leave till 7, 8 o'clock at night. FEMA never shut down that mobile facility until we had that storm blow in with that 75 and 80 mile-an-hour wind. With the hail.
Hold on, okay,
Still,
all
it
right,
don't matter.
There's no argument here, Tara.
okay.
I mean, this is not the place for
We
it. so.
appreciate it. We're
All right.
firing it out.
Number 22, discuss and take action on temporary easement in precinct 1.
So, I put this on here, yeah, actually, I lost it.
I've seen it.
Out of what? Yeah,
He's
okay.
trying to recover from rock.
Yeah, well, it's not even rock. It's more sand. It's in a guy's, pasture, hayfield, and he doesn't want
That's
that.
the Grand Ranch, yeah.
Oh, really?
And,
Free?
yeah, well, yeah, it's, yeah, but it's in his hayfield and he don't want it, so I need to recover it. And, I visited with Quentin about it and we drew up this little deal here. I did notice at the very bottom, after it was signed, that it wasn't a date on there. It says, in witness thereof, this instrument is executed on this date. They signed it, when they, had it notarized, but the date is not in there. So I would like to instrument the date 5/29/24 in there. And that's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 23, discuss and take action to add additional funding to road and bridge departments 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Patricia, you out there?
Yes.
You in the room with us? Or you on Zoom?
I'm on Zoom.
I'm looking for you. I didn't see you.
I see you.
Well, you know, we have recently been declared for public assistance and our budgets cannot handle fixing all the things that we're having to fix and continue actually doing the projects and different things that we got going on in the precinct. So we need to add some funding to the budgets to be reimbursed by FEMA, or how did we do it before? I done forgot what we did before.
In the past, we, the precinct spent the money that they needed. There was money within their total budget to cover those costs until we were reimbursed by FEMA. If that's not the case, if there's not sufficient money to cover those costs prior to the recovery of the funds, we can do an allocation out of project contingency as the departments need the money, and then we'll reimburse that contingency whenever it's we get the money from FEMA.
Yeah, I think we need to go ahead and set something aside in each budget personally, because I mean, in reality, I know I can't do what we bid out the other day if I continue spending the money making these repairs, and
Yeah.
I can't speak for the other commissioners, but they're gonna run out of money too. There's no way we can fix what we got to fix without allocating some money in our budget.
Right. Typically, what
and-
we do a budget amendment that shows the money that has been spent and then show the money that's coming in from FEMA. So from a budgetary perspective, that's not a problem. From a cash flow problem in the precinct budgets, that could be a problem. We can deal through that with contingency allocation.
I really don't have I mean, I could spend $500,000, I think.
I can
yeah.
too. I got $500,000 in one subdivision to spend
Yeah.
over, you know, so.
And a lot of it,
Well, a lot of it's gonna be material. That's what you're
Yeah.
gonna be out, you
Yeah.
know,
Right, but I'm gonna run out of funding as well. Patricia, can we set it up to where, when we get our invoices in, we put on there that this is, we're hoping to have FEMA replace that funding. Can we set that up separately so that we know where we're at? Or
Absolutely.
do we want to complete the road and bridge all the way? I've got a couple projects that I've got to get done this year. That if we deplete all of my whole budget, I won't, you know, where are we at with that?
What we need to do, of course, if we're talking about all of this money is on FEMA eligible projects. Of course, those projects consist of labor, equipment, and the actual hard copy of the hard cost of the projects. What I would suggest that I set up a budget in the projects fund for each of the precincts, and that the materials that we're certain that we are eligible for FEMA reimbursement, we would charge those there, and you would have a running budget, running allocation of exactly what you've spent.
You want to do new POs to all the vendors? So
I
that
do.
it's separate?
I do prefer that, because it makes the FEMA audits much easier. And then it's a very, very good tracking mechanism of how much money's been obligated to date. So that is by far my preference that that be done.
But the money that the funding that we've already spent for the emergency repairs and the repairs we've already done we're not gonna limit ourselves to that, correct? That can come out of that contingency fund too?
That would be based on the action of court, yes.
And you'll just bill off a couple million, put aside for,
Yeah, I mean, we do have that 5 million allocated that we could pull some aside if it
Yeah, 'cause
depletes the,
yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
you know, I mean, if it depletes the fund that you're trying to take it out of, Patricia, because I mean, we got a lot of expense and there's no possible way that I'm gonna fix any of this if we don't get some funding set for it.
We do, and a
So-
lot of mine are not gonna be FEMA refundable. You know, like a lot of my rock roads, visiting with the FEMA and the TDM guy that was here, he like, it's just rock. That's just what you do. You know, this is a dirt road, a rock road. You know, you can have a little, but I gotta do the whole road. And I've got culverts, I got a half a dozen complete culvert swap outs that are rotten, and FEMA doesn't cover any of that.
But they'll cover on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, they'll
Yeah,
go back to
the
original.
pavement on top,
Yeah,
But they
yeah.
won't do the culvert,
No,
and we're doing one today.
Yeah.
It's 40 foot across Paul Dixon Road, 15 feet deep. Ain't gonna have $1 of FEMA recovery money on it.
Yeah,
So,
well, I got a 10 foot to put in,
Yeah.
the same thing. And we've. spent quite-
And fortunately, with FEMA reimbursing the man labor, the equipment, a lot of times that money covers these other costs that are not directly covered by FEMA, but you do have a revenue source coming in to cover those costs.
What's your thoughts, Bill?
we need to know they're gonna be able to pay for what we fix. What's, you know, as we go along.
Yeah.
So if we're just gonna spend it down and we know we can come back if we have to get project contingency or some out of that 5 million. Having to go through and set up POs. Are we gonna put dollars against those POs? Are we gonna encumber funds against those as like basically an open and put money against it? If we are, where's that money gonna come? You know, like for rock, hot mix pavement, stuff like that. If you open a PO, you gotta have money against it.
Yeah, I
Right,
mean.
and
we've
that's
never
where
really
the-
opened separate POs before.
Yeah, have we?
No,
No.
No, but I don't disagree. I mean, that's not a bad way of tracking it.
you know, everything we're gonna do, we have to have two
Ms.
POs
Allen,
in
you'll
the
have to have-
store,
yeah.
you know?
Ms. Allen's got some POs.
Huh?
Go ahead, Ms. Allen.
I was going to say that the contingency allocation would be your source of funding to write your POs against. But open POs are very, very difficult to track cost. And with FEMA, you have a $500,000 PO to a vendor for rock, and you're spending it on 20 or 30 projects.
Mhm.
You know, we need to have a way to track what you're spending so that we are assured that FEMA's not going to take this money back as part of an audit. So the tracking mechanism is very, very important. Allocating the money out of contingency for the POs to be written against is a court action and absolutely can take place.
We want POs or PAs?
Either one works fine. They're the same thing. The PA does not set up the encumbrance on the ledger, so the preferred method is a PO.
Well, that way it's tracked more towards, it's not tied into your regular maintenance. I know we've never done it like that
Yeah.
before, never really thought about it. But
Yeah.
On the audit side of it, it would eliminate a lot of confusion.
We don't have any regular maintenance right now, so it's all
Yeah.
storm related, you know, everything we've doing
All right, so we can
since
just
the
have,
storm has been storm related.
so we can just have our people get with Patricia and them and get the paperwork.
And if we're all gonna pull it out of project contingency.
All right.
Or contingency.
As long as the money's there, that's the important part.
Yeah,
Finance
what's in there, Patricia? What kind of money you got in there?
We have in our projects contingency fund, we have about 800,000. in our capital projects fund, we have the 5 million plus accrued interest, plus earned interest. So if it can come out of either one of those funds, because frankly, it's more of a financing mechanism than it is a budget allocation, permanent spending type project. So,
Okay,
we
so
could- yeah, so,
Bill-
I'm sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say, an action of court could be to allocate, say, $250,000 to each precinct from one of the contingency funds as the funding mechanism for the FEMA projects.
Yeah.
That would probably be the easiest thing.
Yeah, start there and then we could do it. If we needed more, then you
We can come back.
do it with the budget amendments.
Yeah.
And that way it's trackable. And pull it out of the 5 million, I guess, because if not, you're gonna run out of that 800.
yeah, that's where I'd pull it from.
So my
Chris.
question is, like Bill's road, he's got problems with, and, I've got 3. Got problems with. FEMA's only, you put it back to pre-disaster conditions. When I go back to fix that bridge, I'm gonna put stabilizers, we're gonna put bull rock around it to try to protect it from the next one. So I know that large rock's not gonna be part of it. Now, I mean, just one bridge, I don't mind eating that, but if we run over and FEMA doesn't pay for it, what are we gonna do then? Are we just gonna say, that's okay, it was a disaster?
Oh, I ain't.
No.
That's what I'm getting.
Yeah,
I wanna make
Yeah.
it clear
Yeah,
right now. I know that I'm gonna have to do that on Gold Bridge. I've got to put that rock around to protect it.
well, in the same way with Bill, so you
Yeah.
know, you know, replacing these culverts is not covered under FEMA, so you're gonna have to split it apart. And say, hey, this is maintenance, you know, and then at some point, the
Yeah.
top of it is covered by the FEMA, you know? So,
Right. Yes.
I'm not trying to get anything over on.
yeah, no, I understand.
Clear.
Well, it needs to be all,
Yeah, you just
On the
need to,
table.
yeah, you just need to price it out and see what that number is.
yeah, and they may actually, I guess Butch left, right?
Yeah.
They, what is the right word for it then?
For what?
Approve it for whatever to get. I
A
know
lot
the
of questions
word,
be
I
asked
can't even
tomorrow.
remember what.
oh, as far as.
Especially for tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, FEMA.
The questions for
actually
tomorrow.
Approve it since it's better and it might make it last longer.
So the mitigation part,
Mitigation, yeah.
but the mitigation,
His whole separate deal.
I've never received any mitigation funds. We've tried and tried and tried and tried, never been
I
successful.
got one project down a road that nobody lives on. They actually give me mitigation.
But I mean, it don't hurt to ask.
No, it worked. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
So we know we're gonna allocate some money over to each precinct to use, and we got some questions tomorrow.
Yeah.
Y'all good with that?
So the motion needs to be to move
$250,000.
per precinct from capital projects.
Yeah.
Is that where y'all want it from?
Yeah.
To be used 250,000 per precinct,
Do we specify for storm-related repairs?
Yes,
storm related repairs.
that way you can put your POs towards that 250.
Right.
yeah, and we're
Yeah.
gonna need to open separate
Yeah,
POs.
I would suggest that we allocate the funds in the project and that any costs would be coded directly to that project. And that in the motion include allocate 250,000 per precinct from the capital fund for FEMA reimbursable repairs.
You got that, Brandon?
So add that.
Especially with the-
For FEMA
Hold on.
repairs. That's my motion.
I'll second that if you didn't get a second.
You got all that, Karen? Moving seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 24, discuss proper channels to follow when requesting materials during disaster or other times.
Just a reminder for our guys here, whenever we're dealing with, especially storm-related repairs, to make sure we follow all the proper channels so that we can be reimbursed by FEMA. Just a kind of reminder for y'all.
All right.
That's all.
25, Andy, you're up. Discuss and take action on Barrington Hosley. Request for variance to section B 4.1 and the section 4.18 of the Walker County subdivision regulations regarding required right-of-way plat number 2024-011. Replats of 1314 Block 3, Section 1 of Texas Grand Ranch subdivision.
Existing alignments. And what you guys do later on the agenda, maybe
the last one that you see for a while. But, that's the variance request, something similar you guys have seen before, it's existing, use the right of way. Leave line, similar in the original plat, in lieu of the current policy.
Yeah, this is Grand Ranch, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I'd hate to see them set back when everybody else is 60 foot versus 70, so I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 26, public hearing concerning plat number 2024-011. Replat of lots 13, 14, block 3, section 1 of Texas Grand Ranch subdivision. Time is 9:55. Anyone here to speak upon that?
Just joining two lots together.
Yeah.
All right.
It don't last long.
For a minute.
And then Bill got to say something.
9:56, public hearing is closed. 27, discuss and take action on plat number 2024-011, replat of lots 13 and 14, block 3, section 1.
It's actual approval.
You're okay with it like it is? Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor, say, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 28, discuss and take action on Gary Hillshire request for variance to section 3.36 of the Walker County subdivision regulations regarding groundwater certification report for plat number 2024-001. Who's talking first? Andy, Zach?
You want me to? I can leave, so. Is Mr. Hillshire online?
This is the one we saw the other day.
This is the one where he's trying to give a paper.
Yeah.
To his, yeah, we saw it the other day on the right of way on 1375. You're correct. Our easement on 1375 is what we ended up.
Well, before the court today, that's. For a regular. Statute, I think that's how the application packet. It is a plat that you guys have looked at before. As you're aware, on January 1st, they changed the state code. Subdivision that rely upon wells for their source of water or to require a groundwater report. There's a couple of conditions under which the court can grant a waiver. Having to do with the number of lots being created and the aquifer that the development is over. And then a finding by the commissioner's court related to the availability of groundwater. He included in his application, you should have it in front of you, copy of the statute. Provisions of that waiver. We want water. Any questions related to?
Yeah, I hate for you not to talk, Zach, so.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming down. Sure.
So go ahead and update me, man.
We've seen you more and more regularly.
Again, for the record, my name is Zach Holland with the Blue Bonnet Groundwater Conservation District. Andy sent over this variance request a couple of weeks ago when it came across his desk. Basically, our review of the information provided is we follow the reasoning that Mr. Hillshire provided. Again, it's the information was not necessarily of the technical nature that we're used to seeing for kind of giving more of an official and technical review of things. But again, do follow the reasoning. The only comment that we would provide is the awareness of TLR alternate well completion standards, which equates to additional feet of annular cement sealant from the surface. When a well is drilled when the well is drilled is likely going to be required because it's on such a small lot. Again, this allows for tighter spacing from property lines, septic tanks, soil absorption fields, dry litter poultry facilities, and other concentrated sources of potential contamination. Again, even with the alternate standard, there is the overall site spacing for the well in relation to the surroundings will be tight. Again, as long as everybody's aware and understand that on the front end, no big deal. As a brief side note, hopefully, I cross my fingers, eyes, and everything else. TCEQ has finally opened up its rulemaking regarding the implementation of Senate Bill 40. They just opened it. Unfortunately, it is incredibly lacking in real guidance. Fortunately, that's an state agency. But the public comment period is open right now. We're frantically scrambling to get our comments together, even though we provided 30-something pages back in November to them to try to give them some guidance when they opened this up, and not a single thing that we suggested to them as the groundwater conservation community was even included. They're real good at changing mays to musts, so they found those types of things, but there's still absolutely totally no guidance on what credible evidence means for anybody. We're going to be, I know Bluebonnet specifically, as well as others across the state, are going to be pushing very heavily for the TCEQ to give some guidance on it, just what qualifies, and giving you all guidance on what credible evidence means. There's lots of technical information out there that can at least say, hey, if it's in this ballpark, this is it. Again, I know that they don't want to specifically prescribe one and only one way of doing things, but giving something would be better than what they've done.
So hopefully that when y'all are talking with them, like Mr. Hilscher's deal here, he's trying to give to his family, his nephew, hopefully there's going to be a provision that will allow that.
So that's what the exemption that Andy mentioned about the 10 lots or less. That was what it was supposed to cover. The problem is the county still has to make a designation and a determination of credible evidence before that exception applies, as the statute is.
Well, there's no definition of credible evidence. That's one of the things they're going to discuss at the hearing at TCEQ. So whether or not they should provide some sort of definition of what credible evidence is.
A lawyer must have written it, huh?
Oh,
We had
I'm looking at a lawyer when I said it.
He don't disagree.
We're gonna get beat over the head with it.
Yeah.
Credible evidence.
Randy, listening to
Thank you, Judge.
what is this variance
So
all need to entail?
the applicant makes the claim that it's over one of the two listed aquifers. That's the source of groundwater. It's a little difficult for us to verify it is over it, whether that would be the source of water. But the second provision is the proposed divides the tract into not more than 10 parts. Well, it's applied for 3 pieces, so we're good there, which takes us back to what he mentioned from the code. Based on credible evidence of groundwater availability in the vicinity of the proposed subdivision. He offers a narrative. That's what he offered.
70 years before that.
It's all that I have to give you, that, and then, that's about all I can do. Board has to make a determination. Right. We'll note that any waiver would be subject to no subsequent subdivision tract in the middle of 10. We have to do that. I can do so.
Okay. I don't really have an issue with it. I mean, for what he's trying to do with it, so.
So my motion is gonna be to grant the grant.
I'll just add, just for the benefit of the court, I think you're all aware of this. This passage of this bill did catch a lot of people in progress.
Yeah.
They passed it and the legislature went into effect in January. And there was a lot of people working on projects that they don't always come to me when they start projects, they come to me when they're finishing projects, and so they weren't aware that this was in play.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases. Not that, absolves them from meeting.
The variance is, the motion going to be to approve the variance, section 3.36, the Walker County subdivision regulation groundwater survey report,
Granting a waiver.
granting the waiver and the variances. How did you put that? Subject to no additional subdivision.
There you go.
Subject to no additional subdivision?
More than 10 lots, right?
Subdivision of the property, not the
If they
subdivision.
come- if they want to do another lot, they'll have to come back. Right.
Okay, I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 29, discuss and take action on Piney Wood Ranch Partners request for a determination on exemption to or the application of the Walker County subdivision regulations.
We, Doc, could we push these to the end? I anticipate an executive session on this with Quentin. Could we knock everybody else out and just get them done? I don't see anything down here that's gonna hold us up,
Okay, so 29 and 30?
if we could.
All right, we'll go to 31, discuss and take action on James C. Haskell and J and H Navasota Development LLC request for variance to section 3 of the Walker County subdivision regulations regarding alignment, transfer of plat applications, variances and permits for plat number 2019-023 Waverly Place, section 1, submitted in 2019 and plat number 2020-038 Waverly Place, section 3, submitted in 2020 to another developer, John Sadler, survey A-45.
Mr. Hudson. How are you?
Doing fine.
Taking lead.
Tell me what all that means, Andy.
Move everything open.
Got him out of order. You did that, Bill.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yes, which.
MARJOR.
They're separate.
Why
Different.
Our developer and yourself.
Don't keep that for.
All right, so you guys, have variance applications in front of
You
you.
need those notes?
Yeah.
Really, three applications. Those applications are all related in some way. The primary one is transfer of actual visibility of transfer of permits. Our current code, once there's an application, you guys have seen this before you, whatever the application is with. Needs to be applied. We'll have a process in there to move that application over to a separate. So it requires it to come full court. Hassle's here. They're here to talk to you about what they want to do. As part of that, there's some additional, variances that they're seeking on some of the associated property. The first one, variance to section 3 regarding assign and transfer of plat application variance for these various plats, section 1, section 2, section 3, which is already been applied for, and associated permits and variances. So we're dealing with it all as one lump unless the court caveats that or makes that down in some way to less than all 3 or less than all the variances. I'll let them talk to you about sort of what their total plan is. The following 2 items related, and they deal with the section 2, what is currently section 2, and planning moving section 2 to access, allowing the division of larger tracts prior to coming back to plat. So we'll get to those, but start out with this one, what has to do with this application. All right, the floor is yours, Mr. House. Just introduce yourself and then.
Jim Hass, it's Archer Cox. And I'm going to transfer the development over to Bert. Section 2 and 3.
Marjorie Cox, real estate developer and commercial real estate and home builder for 30 years. In Galveston County, Harris County, Montgomery counties, and I have a business partner, I have a project, Banks Bridges, and he owns Solid Bridge Construction, and they're now based in New Waverly. They're about 10 minutes away from our project site. And Vance and I have a project together in Conroe, Canyon Creek Development. So we've had a good kind of working relationship for about 5 or 6 years. His business has been in operation for about 20 years. It's a civil construction company. So he'll take on all of the construction work for the site. So it kind of works well for us. Mr. Hassel acquired, about 280 acres 4 or 5 years ago. We developed section 1. About 140 lots, and then they had gone through the plat and the engineer plan process for section 3, which is 114 acres, and would give us about 94 1-acre lots. And since he was about complete with the plans, it was really attractive to us to come in and kind of pick up the work he had done. There's a water company there. Builders will build homes with a septic system. So our work was the middle of the year for the 2 years. We've already gone to contract with K. Hovnanian. So got the same quality of home builder, as D.R. Horton. And they'll build out on the 1-acre tracts. I've looked at the sales comps over the last year, and those houses are in the value of like 500,000 now. And so if we bring in another 110 homes, we've got section 3, which will be the 114 acres, and then Mr. Hassel,
6 lots.
96 lots, Mr. Hassel.
6 lots in the back.
And then within section 1, so as we started meeting with Mr. Isbell with the Walker County Planning Department, Mr. Decker, we talked about our plans and kind of our history, and then we had the opportunity to do a site tour with the commissioner and kind of drive around section 1 and look at kind of the condition. It had been developed, and there were just some items that we needed to finish up as a punch list. So while engineering worked with Mr. Isbell's office and created a punch list, so we have that, and that we will take over. Vance and I will take over responsibility of completing that punch list for section 1. So we'll address those items that still need to be finished up in order to have that section certified. So that will be our responsibility going forward. And then we'll finish out the development of section 3. We're also acquiring 20 acres on the front on FM 1375. And that will be developed to be 15 or so homes, and that will provide a second entrance. So we'll have a secondary entrance to the development. And Mr. Decker, I did check with Joe Sherwin, our engineer here, and the streets planned for section 3 are 28 feet with 1 foot curve on each side. So
28 foot of travel path.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
28 feet, inside curve, 30 foot back to back.
Thanks.
Lay down curve.
4 inch, not
4
6
inch on 12.
inch.
4 inch on 12.
Have we taken section 1 yet?
Nope.
So we're still waiting on that punch
Yeah,
list, right?
yeah, they're gonna do it next.
So that's what she just said. They're gonna, correct me if I'm wrong, we're gonna finish section 1 first. And we'll start on section 2. Right?
I think we'll do it simultaneously. I think when we get out there, we'll do it simultaneously, but
Punch list section.
few items, say few.
It's been a while since I've been.
There is 6 lots in the drainage. It's kind of the major project. Other items that you all identified through that inspection.
So Brandon, what did you have on your punch list? I mean, there was a lot of.
80-something lines.
There was like washes,
A lot of
and
stuff.
things on drainage and
needs to be
stuff.
fixed.
And Vance Bridges, has all that itemized. We prepared our budget for that. We've got a bid sheet. We've already incorporated that into how we've worked things out with Mr. Hassel.
Yeah, I talked to Vance. He's talking about putting in drain culverts and resloping and fixing all the big creek issues. I know.
And all that will be engineered or re-engineered?
Fixed to the current engineer or the old engineer.
Well, I mean, you're talking about putting in culverts and stuff. That wouldn't.
Yeah, there is a section of section 1 that's requiring some drainage redesign. that they're working on. And then it's gonna require some new infrastructure to be placed to move that water. In addition to completing all the installation of the previous work to plans. So those would be the two things that would be required to move section 1 forward to substantial completion. Everything had to be developed to the existing original plans, and reach substantial completion, and then the drainage that's coming into that northwest end of the subdivision is requiring some additional unplanned infrastructure that's now being designed to move that drainage over to an outfall. And so those two would have to be done as part of section 1 to get us to a substantial completion. That's where we're at.
We'll get accepted.
Then we've also worked with a local engineer, Joe Sherwin, based in New Waverly, so he'll be on site and available to do inspections and to oversee construction and coordinate with the planning department and commissioner as needed.
Well, what about it, Brandon?
So I just want to recap what we talked about. We clarified that it's 28 foot of ride surface, 1 foot outside of that, lay down curbs, correct, lay down curbs. Well, I'm gonna do section,
I'll make this, we'll add that in, but technically on we're talking about section 2. No variance has been issued for section 2 for road.
correct,
Section 3 has an existing variance.
correct.
And section 1 has an existing variance. Section 3 has no road width variance. Our minimum road width is 32 back to back. They're proposing 30 back to back, which would be technically a variance for section 2 that would need to be applied for. So this is about transferring existing variances. There is no existing variance for section 2 for the 30-foot back to back curve. They would have to seek one.
And that section 2 is the 20 acres on the front.
That's the front. Yeah, you have to seek a variance. There doesn't exist a variance on that section.
Right. The variances are tied to 1 and 3.
To 1 and 3.
Main thing I know the court's concern is that we get section 1 finished. So, that's the main thing, and we're gonna grant these variances and transfer this on the contingency that section 1 is finished. Yes, sir.
It's hard to keep moving forward if you don't finish the first part.
Yes, sir. That's right. You know, it felt it would be a benefit to the neighborhood there, to the county, to others, if we were able to just, if we're gonna be able to acquire the other acreage to expand it, to finish out what's there. Vance is, like I said, 10 minutes away, and, he's already had his crew clean up some streets, some after some of the storm damage, so,
My engineer messed up when he calculated the storm drainage into that northwest section. And we gotta put more pipe in. Every time it rains, I have to send a crew up there to clean the streets. I just had one this weekend up there cleaning streets.
I totally understand.
I might get that done too.
What you gonna do?
So I want to approve agenda item number 31. With the contingency that we,
Section 1 is completed.
section 1 is completed.
Yeah, what I heard you
It's
say.
going to be concurrent.
It's substantial completion on section 1 prior to them receiving a substantial completion on sections 2 or 3.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It could be prior to same court session, but prior to.
so I'm thinking, we'll go, think logistically, we'll do the punch list for section 1. And then we can roll into maybe, first phase of section 3, which is 47 or so lots that we would have available to sell to the builder, like for the first quarter, Q1. So when you say substantial completion of section 1 before substantial, which does that time that we're trying to get to work?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Substantial completion
Right.
is what the court issues at the end of the construction that says that it's substantially completed in accordance with the plans and requirements.
For section 1.
Yeah, and those could actually it's an action of Commissioner's Court, so they could actually court theoretically even on the same agenda.
Mhm.
It's just section one would be first on the agenda, and section three would be second.
That allows you to do the work simultaneously
Two phases,
in
okay.
two phases, but the contingency is that you have to have substantial completion on section one before we'll issue
Right, right.
completion of section three.
Okay. And then we have a 1-year maintenance period.
Correct.
Okay.
On both of them, whenever that.
That's
Got it.
awesome. Okay.
I'll second that motion.
You make a
Get all
motion?
that, Gary?
I did.
I think I did a second.
Okay, let's reword that or restate it.
Okay, so the motion is to approve item 31. You can list it all out. The contingency is that section 3 will not be approved until section 1 has
Two or three.
has substantial, until section 1 has substantial completion.
Is that Webster's dictionary definition on that word or what?
Something like that. Got it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure I-
You understand.
All right, I got moved.
Want to make sure-
Motion is second.
Also the 1-year. maintenance.
All the variances and applications transfer with,
All the
are
transfer.
allowed to be transferred.
That's what the,
So one second condition that I'd like the court to consider is that, and we do this every time we've done a transfer, is that the transferee, presumably it's going to be their group, come in and complete all the application paperwork in the name of the new owner. That way.
Under the same app-
That's how we will transfer. I just want you to be clear that that's involved in the transfer.
Okay.
Andy, to be clear, all of those variances transfer to section 3, not section 2.
Correct.
We'll come back for section 2.
Yeah, we have variances for section 3 and 1 right now.
Section 2 in the, for the motion, so.
You can't have any completion of section 2 or 3.
Right.
I have contingent that section 2 or 3 will not be approved until section 1 has substantial completion.
Right.
Correct.
You need to add that.
The second part is that all paperwork will have to be done by the buyer in order to transfer the permits.
so I need to amend my motion.
No, so just add to it.
Huh?
Just add to it.
Just add it to it. That's my motion.
All right, I got a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand.
Seconded it.
I did.
Bill.
Bill or whoever.
All right, 32, discuss and take action on James C. Haskell, J&H Navasota Development LLC request for variance to section B 3.4.1 of the Walker County subdivision regulations regarding point of access entrance for plat number 2019-023.
Yeah, no, the owner, is taking section 2.
A good drawing.
Yeah, there's a better drawing.
There's one in here, one in the book.
There we go. It's a little better. So there's a section here,
That one.
that is wanting to be divided. Right now, this track looks like this.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This section was previously allowed by Commissioner's Court to be transferred at an earlier time to, without plat, to the water company that's providing water. What they're proposing now is that Mr. Hassel would hold back this 12.6, transfer the remainder over here, and they're asking to do that again without a plat, with the purchaser of this tract, presumably present today, coming in and developing this tract separately, this tract being developed separately. So they're proposing on the drawing, it shows 80 foot. Are we gonna do a 125 or 80?
I put, I was reading the old specs and I had it surveyed for 80 foot. Yes.
So you're
Change it to
proposing,
125.
you're proposing to change it that
Yeah.
one.
Well, I'd like to stay at 80 if we could.
Well, I need you to tell me what your proposal is.
Well, I'm proposing 80.
James.
125 is what we've all discussed. Ms. Cox is expecting 125.
Just based on TxDOT regulations, we've coordinated with TxDOT on the driveway and they've written a letter to Mr. Isbell, so.
So, but you don't have a permit yet
Yes, sir.
No.
of any sort.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have a text dot permit. So they're proposing this division with 125 foot here. They have an existing TxDOT permit here at this location, not one here. They're going to try to obtain one here. They've had some discussion with TxDOT. TxDOT hasn't said they will approve it. They said that if the transfer takes place, they will review it. Is essentially as far as they're willing to go with this.
What is the distance, Andy? Do you know?
Between this driveway and this and the proposed, it's several hundred feet.
That's over 700. That's pretty.
So it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Right. TxDOT has gone as far as to say it's a possibility. That's as far as they've gone.
Right.
So but before these tracks, I have a list of proposals to you guys, if you guys choose to move forward on this. But before either one of these tracks can be further developed into additional lots, they would have to be platted. That's what they're proposing.
So let me ask, why are you keeping the 12 acres, Mr. Hussle? If you want.
He's got it under contract to another party, Top Star Construction.
Mm-hmm.
And so that the frontage was on the market after we made the offer to acquire or have the 114 acres under contract. And we, our preference was to develop section 3, the 114 acres. They went under contract at 12 of the 32 acres. And once we did our tour and realized the urgency of some of the matters, we came back and all that was left was the 20 acres. So he's been coordinating with the other buyer to split that. Is that right?
That's correct.
Is the representative, Mr. and Mrs. Hassel. So there's 20 acres that we can acquire and then have a secondary entrance and then, have about 15 lots there.
So what happens if you can't get a TxDOT permit?
If we met with them, we don't anticipate.
We don't anticipate, we all went and talked to the state, they will issue the driveway there, it's just a matter of where it's gonna be.
Yes.
Okay. So we're proposing you have this in the review letter for requirements. If you guys grant it, that I think covers some of the concerns of the court. So you have the file.
Yeah.
So we would recommend you approve the variance, approve it on these conditions.
I read it. See, the state will not issue a permit for a driveway unless you are the owner of the property. And if I had it up for sale, so they do that. So until it got sold and the owner replied, they will not issue a permit.
All right.
Have y'all read Andy, have they read the stuff from our engineer?
Yeah.
Do you want that listed in the motion? Or just per the
This is on
Or the first one, the file letter dated, whatever.
There's two.
But there's two. There's two letters. Did you both of them?
I didn't get either one.
I'll give you mine.
I didn't print.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can have these.
I got me.
I read it last night. I remembered.
That's why I printed it off.
Yes.
So the motion is going to be to approve, like, instead of this.
Yes, I mean, we would have to have, before we started construction, you'd have to have a way to access the property, so.
What about the 20?
Permit will be got.
What about the 125 foot?
And exhibit shows 80.
And there's discuss, there's no variances on this one, so this one. Just to deal.
Variance just in terms of the street. Yeah, we haven't started any engineering on it.
Right. So we're gonna stop our current policy on it.
So the streets, when I was having designed, when I was gonna do it, it's 28 foot. That's on the plans.
What you got, right?
You yourself have met with TxDOT, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And then-
you're comfortable, you can get a driveway.
Sherman and Mr. Miss Hassel and Nancy. So we all met with TxDOT about 2 weeks ago.
I'm sure he was out there too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very too.
Gonna make a motion to approve item 32. On the two Blau letters and the conditions in the two Blau letters.
Second.
Moving seconded, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 33, discuss and take action on James C. Haskell, J and H Navasota Development LLC request for variance to section
Appraisal District.
A1.1 of the Walker County subdivision regulations regarding plat requirements for 32.8305 acres.
This is the division about request for the division about plat. Yeah, like I reminded the court, we've done one previously on this section. That one had a contingency. Yeah, any to meet regulations in full. Just to remind the court that they had issued that and that make sure what you do today doesn't, that you take that in mind, that you don't have a problem. We would add the same, we would add each 5 and requests for a while. To any motion, if you guys choose to approve it. To be clear, it would allow the tract to be divided and sold without being non-compliant. If it meets those requirements.
Yeah, but
Y'all read the variance, the west, engineer.
the subdivision includes no daughter tract less than 10 acres. A minimum of 125 foot frontage is provided for each daughter tract. Daughter tract is platted before any construction occurs on that tract. Before construction occurs on either daughter tract, each has to have a valid TxDOT permit for an access drive. The tract is subdivided to allow future access points to meet the minimum road design requirements in Walker County subdivision regulations.
And so within this presentation, there's a clip of the 20 acres. And so one item that this is raised with TxDOT, we're going to have a shared driveway with Topstar. So it's hard to see, but it is one driveway for the 2 properties and then it'll tee off. So we're just coordinating with them. They spent very favorable between our 2 parties to discuss that. So we have that, planned, for that based on TxDOT requests.
Okay. So my motion is going to be to approve this item number 33 with those 5 contingencies.
This,
It's 2 letters.
Yeah.
That's 5 letters.
I'll second that.
just contingent, just do the letter. Do you want me to list these out?
I continue on blah. That's what we do on the other ones.
Maybe you put the date of the letter.
I didn't.
You second that, Bill?
I did, yes.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. And 34, discuss and take action permitting fees related to the recent flooding events.
Yes.
Tell anybody that we've got flood events all over the county. Remind this, one of the parts of what we do is we have to go out and permit any major renovation or reconstruction related to fixing those properties after the flood. So requiring FEMA, state to meet the minimum NFIP. That means we have to go out and do assessments. That's where we're already underway doing those. As long as they're under 50% damage, we can issue a permit that allows them to just basically go in and start the whatever repairs they need to do. This doesn't block anybody from remediation. They can cut out whatever they need to cut out. They can make safe. They can do all that without this. FEMA requires this. It's part of their process that we have to adopt, and it's in our code that will do it. So we're in the process of doing it. Technically, it's a permit application and a permit issuance is the way that it's handled administratively. FEMA sent out guidance that says, we're not required to charge for that, but we are required to do it. So with their guidance, I thought it'd be good to bring it to court, see what you guys wanted to do as far as the fees go on these permits related to substantial damage and flooding. Our fee, our base fee, our standard fee for residential, which is the bulk of our flooding, is $100. That's what would be being waived if we waive the permitting fees.
I hate to charge them anything after they just lost everything in the world. I mean, I can't go along with a fee unless.
Well, the actual item.
To waive
whether or not to
To waive it.
Okay,
Make a motion to waive it.
I make a motion to waive it.
I'm second.
No charge.
Well, and Andy, do you want to put out there the information about, so it's, I mean, at least it's out there about the 50%.
Yes, we've already begun
Take
doing
a pic.
Yeah.
that. We've been door hanging and notifying.
Okay,
I'll get with Rich about maybe pushing it out for
Yeah.
there.
because I mean, like we talked about, FEMA's not putting that information out there. So if it's 100% loss and they can't, you know, if they say it's 100%, then they have to be brought up out the book.
Yeah, if it's over 51%.
It's 2%, they gotta raise it.
Yeah.
Substantially damaged.
A lot of people don't realize it.
Yeah.
Then to raise the elevation. So some people are the belief that if they get substantial damage, there's some increased funding, and that is true, but it also comes with strings attached.
Okay. Goodness.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, we got 3 left. You wanna go executive first?
The rest is just stuff.
Yep.
What is,
That all Andy stuff?
what is 36?
36.
Let's do 36.
Okay. Oh, I didn't see that. 35 and 36. Discuss and take action on guidance related to section B 4.13 of the Walker County subdivision regulations to recommend to the Director of Planning and Development and the county engineer that minimum right of ways and utility easements within determinations be consistent with the existing subdivisions being replatted unless there is objection by the precinct commissioner.
So we talked about this several points back, started a section of the code that gives myself and engineers some leeway relating to existing right of ways.
Yeah.
So the board that would give me guidance, policy and guidance to us for determining this. You guys are the ones that have to maintain the road. Actually, going back day, the right of way we get or don't, that impacts you all the most. You guys give me guidance. I think almost every one that I brought before court for variances have been granted as far as existing subdivision right of way widths. And you guys would give us guidance today that says that that's what you want us to do, is to use the existing right of ways. And then I added in, you know, as long as there's no objection by the precinct commissioner, that will allow us to show these to the commissioner who's maintaining that right of way. There's some particular issue that needs to be addressed for right of way dedication. We can bring those back to court. The rest of them, we could administratively approve under the existing code.
And this is in platted subdivisions only.
Yeah, this is for platted subdivisions, existing plats.
I don't have a problem with them. I mean, like I said, you're bringing every one of them now, as long as you contact us.
I mean, the deal is, if it's an existing platted subdivision, it's gonna be a replat.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see it anyway. The thing this would avoid would be the applicant have to formally apply for the variance.
Yeah.
Like what we'd already done today.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You're not changing anything. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
you're not
don't
taking another 10 foot.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, Andy.
Yeah, I think it's a good option.
Who's making that?
I'll make the motion to approve agenda item number 35.
Second.
Moving seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. All right, we'll go to 36 or come back.
I'd like to do, let's go ahead and do item 30. Is it 29 first? Yeah,
29 's
29. That's we'll probably have an executive session on next. I think number 36 is actually gonna be related to the conversation associated with those.
We're just going to good section now?
Yep.
Under. Where? Section 551.071, time is 10:38. Time is 11:23. We're back from executive section. We're gonna go to number 29, discuss and take action on Pineywood Ranch Partners' request for a determination on exception to or the application of the Walker County subdivision regulations.
I'll address that really quick for the court. I reviewed this request and it is the opinion of attorneys, the DA's office, that they likely qualify for a plat exemption. They don't have to file a plat, but that any subdivision inside the county lines is in fact subject to the subdivision regulation. It's not the plat requirement.
Thank you, Quinn.
Right, so if there's an action to be taken, I'll make the motion that Pineywood Ranch Partners is not required to file a plat, but is subject to Walker County subdivision regulations for any tract developed within the confines of Walker County.
I'll give you a second on that.
That said a little slower.
And can we clarify that? Because if it doesn't fall within the platting guidelines, then you can't implement the subdivision guidelines because we're accepted under 232 under Travis County, the bank case, Elgin State Bank v. Travis County is the only way you get to do your subdivision regulations is if it doesn't have an exemption. Since we have an exemption given by the state, then the county can enforce subdivision regulations.
I believe the main holding in Elgin Bank was remedied by the legislature. I don't know why that would be applicable in this circumstance. Subdivision regulations apply to all subdivisions. Platting, there are special exemptions to that under 232.015 for which you are qualified with the lots all 10 acres or larger and no dedication by the owner to the public, roads, streets, or alleys. That gives you that exemption. That's why you don't have to do a plat. But it's still a subdivision, so it still fits under the subdivision regulations but just not the platting requirement.
I don't know how to comply with the subdivision regulations. The state says that we don't have to. And I said that since we have the exemption of complying with the subdivision regulations, that's a snake eating its tail.
Will you state your name for Ms. French?
Yes, Tyler Epstein.
Yeah.
Mr. Epstein, it says specifically an exemption from.
And county regulated, the chapter is titled County Regulation of Subdivision.
I'm aware of that. Looking at 232.015, that is a list of exemptions from platting requirements.
The county may define and classify the divisions.
You can read that on your own and we can visit.
Yes, sir.
But the reality is that you do not have to get a plat for part of your subdivision inside of Walker.
I'm gonna go back and re-listen to it.
You want to state it again? Will you state your motion again?
Yeah, my motion is going to be that Pineywood Ranch Partners is not required to file a plat for their development, but they are subject to Walker County subdivision regulations for any development within the confines of Walker County.
I got a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Motion passes. Number 30, discuss and take action on Pineywood Ranch Partners Project regulatory jurisdiction determination in relation to Walker County regulatory requirements.
So it's back before court, as presented last time. I've seen we have some additional things to add to that, but, some discrepancy, I think, on the county line is at, and whether the jurisdiction falls for all of these lots or what portions of these lots within the bounds of Walker County.
Based on some discussions and input and the grayness of the county line delineation and probably the unwillingness to invest the money to go find that line at this time. I will give me a help on the motion on this one here, Gwen. We're basically going to say that we're not going to contest the subdivision stuff outside. We're not going to contest the location of the county line as brought to by the developer.
I agree. Yeah, look, basically the developers provided significant amount of information about where that line is. He's got a reasonably good approximation of the line. Anything across that line in the other county is outside of your jurisdiction.
Yep.
Your jurisdiction is limited to just those parts of the subdivision that are on this side of the line that he proposes.
You're making a finding that that is the county line or just for the purpose of this application?
We're not determining the location of the county line. We're saying barring legislation, surveying, court cases, determining and whether or not another county would even cooperate with us, that, for lack of a better way to say it, it's not a hill we're gonna die.
So the lots that are created that are shown on that graphic that we have that are partially within Walker County, but front on the roads outside of Walker County that are over 10 acres. And those that are fronting on O'Brown.
Yep.
For the purposes of compliance with our subdivision regulations, I'm allowed to consider those compliant.
Yes.
Yes. Up to the county line, theoretical, where our jurisdiction ends.
So that motion,
Second, if you didn't get one.
Did you get a motion from him? Did you write it down?
I didn't hear a
I was
motion on
rambling.
that.
Okay.
I thought it was a motion.
I want to make the motion to
was-
say that Walker County is not going to object to Pineywood Ranch Partners' interpretation of the county line in their subdivision. But withholds authority to enforce all county regulations deemed to be in Walker County.
So that would apply to my development permitting as well.
Yeah.
Still got a second.
Okay, moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. All right, we'll go back to 36. Discuss and take action on plat application for Castle Villages, section 1, fee number 2024-020, related to the completeness of the application by submission by Ellison Collection.
It's always.
We,
We'll leave it with that.
our office received an application. As noted, this slide, you see an application from the development company. I think we have representatives present today. Yeah, it was submitted initially, included copies of the plat, Mylar and paper, printed copy, and the application form. As per our policy, when we reviewed, there's a list of items that are required for plat application contained in the policy. We then forwarded a response about the application being complete. Yes. I think that some correspondence following that was made with the county judge objecting to that list. We had a second meeting where they submitted one of the items from that list, which was a Mylar sheet, Mylar sheets, an extra Mylar copy of the plat, last week. So other than that, the list that we initially issued would be the same. We have one extra Mylar sheet that's been submitted under a second submittal. Based on the code, it still appears that the application is incomplete. I'm bringing it before Commissioners Court for the Commissioners Court to make a finding related to whether or not the application is considered complete with only those items submitted and not the rest of the list submitted.
Well, it appears to be incomplete to me if we're missing all these items.
Have anybody speak on
Ms. Elton, you want to say anything?
Morning, gentlemen. Bill
Morning.
Ellison Development. And I believe that you guys may have already a copy of the letter that our attorney sent where it shows the state, what the state required in submitting just the application, which is what the parts that we submitted. And I'm happy to go over each individual one of these details if you'd like to. Not, but everyone was detailed out as to what state law says as far as what is required and what is not required, just when submitting a plat. And to this date, we have submitted everything that is required by Texas law in order to submit the plat.
Any questions? I ain't saying nothing.
I mean, I hadn't seen nothing from the other attorneys, if that's what you're saying.
So it was sent to Andy.
Sent to, I believe, the judge and.
My apologies. Judge Christensen, I guess, and it was sent to you. I don't have the actual letter right here in front of me. I just got the response.
They received a letter.
Quentin received the letter. That letter with this in it? The letter with that letter in it?
All I see is a list of incomplete things. That's what we're looking
That's
at.
all that is right there.
Wow.
I've got a copy of the letter here. I can read it. It was the one issued to your attention. In short, you enclosed.
Yeah, but I text them, government deal.
The proposed final plat is requested with submissions of these additional copies. The plat application is considered complete according to Texas Local Government Code 232 and figures the shot clock with the county's obligation to act on the application within 30 days. Notwithstanding the foregoing, please note the following responses to the county's alleged deficiencies. Item number one, Texas lien holder signed the plat. Texas Local Government Code 232-002C only requires the owner or tract or their agent to acknowledge the plat in the manner required for the acknowledgement of the deeds. Texas Civil Practices and Revenue Code 12104 details the method of acknowledgement required for deeds, which does not impose a lien holder requirement. Item number two, as for the lists, items number 2 through 10 and 12 through 16, each of these items are prohibited by Texas Local Government Code section 232-001 subsection H. And they require an analysis, study, documentation agreement, or similar requirement. Accordingly, the plat application is complete on the submission of the enclosed supplement. Section 3, finally, item 11, request of submission approved variances.
Wow.
And such a variance because the county is prohibited from regulating the lot sizes as specifically detailed in previous correspondence with the county. Minimum lot size regulations anywhere other than within municipalities, corporate limits are prohibited because of the effects of density of residential units.
But y'all never hand delivered that to me. This is the one that says hand delivered? Yeah, it was never hand delivered to me.
Our office received a copy on Thursday, was the second.
Gotcha.
That was after we provided back up. This is everything that they've submitted to you. Yeah, well, it is detailed. So you see in each of the plan submittal forms right here, you'll see a list of what was given to us at that meeting, that plan submittal meeting on here. So the first meeting, is 3 pages, 2 hours, that's not only no plans, the application, and then the actual payment. And the plat application's attached there. And then the letter that was sent out attached to the response letter you guys have in front of you that he just read from. It details out their objection. And the second submittal was made on the 30th. We included 3 USB flash drives, the Mylar plat set, and the letter that you were looking at now. The last attachment is a revised letter, subject to court's approval today. It includes the receipt of the additional miles. But as you note on the letter, that's the only item that's been crossed out. The rest of them would remain in effect from the second letter. And finally attached is as a key stub, P32, in section H, which seems to be the bulk of the objections are under section H. Highlighted.
Hate to say it. I got a couple questions for Glenn.
I believe this one's in precinct 4.
Yeah, I think it is.
Court is that the plat application is not complete. We'll pass on it today.
In the form of a motion.
You'll make a motion on that?
Motion.
I'll second that.
Pass.
It's incomplete. It's not complete.
Plat application is not complete.
You're gonna pass on one.
I don't. I did. No, we got this stuff on. That's what he said. You wanna go back in executive?
Yeah, just for 5 minutes.
All right, we're going back into executive session under 551.071.
We get a motion.
I've got it.
Okay, are good.
All right, we're back 12:26. We're gonna go back to 36.
All right, I'm gonna rescind my motion. This motion.
I rescind my second.
Yeah.
Applications.
I'll second that.
For my purpose, that was in the backup.
Stands.
So things are in complete stand.
That's your motion with the
Steve
existing.
stand.
Those stand.
Yes.
All right, I got a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. All right, no more executive session today. Public comments,
Not at this time.
questions from media, Commissioners Court. All right.